When I was born, I was Eva Trumes, and then later I was adopted and I became Eva Reinfeldt, and then I got married to Henry Brown, and therefore now I'm Eva Brown. We had some family members that were taken and in the middle of the night, and we never knew whatever happened to them. I was 6 months old when we eventually had to leave. Our home was taken, like I said, over by the Germans, and we were in this bunker, and one day the German soldiers came and gathered up everybody and said we had to follow them, and everybody was marched down to the tip of Sörve and placed on boats and taken away from Saaremaa. We had a choice, either stay there and get killed or go with the Germans. Germany at that time was pretty devastated. You know, it was not a tourist place, that's for sure. See, to me, that was the normal. I knew nothing else. We had the option of either going back to Estonia with the Russians or see if we could find somebody who could sponsor us to a different country. In 1950, we were able to get sponsorship to the United States. A farmer sponsored first my grandparents and my uncles to one farm, and then we were able to get a sponsorship to another farm in Michigan. We first came to New York, and I remember we were in the bus station because we were going to go to Michigan from New York by bus. And I remember this man came up and offered us candy, and if we would, my little brother and I, we were sitting there on top of our bundles. My father and mother were on the other side trying to get the bus tickets and so on. And I remember he came up and wanted to know if we wanted to go with him. And then my father saw that this was going on and shooed the man away. So that was my first experience in the United States. When we got to Michigan, and we were greeted by Mr. Rambat, who was the sponsor, we went to their house, and they had a meal set up, and all the neighbors had come over. I guess they wanted to see who we are, and they had brought all this food, you know, a covered dish type of thing. And I remember my mother said, "Oh, look at all this food and all this all the leftovers, you know, like so. Maybe we'll be able to have all this food afterwards." And then she didn't realize that the American custom was to pack up your own things, whatever you had left over, and take it away. So it was kind of a downer, you know. The farmers' children were not the nicest toward me. I guess I was an oddity because I couldn't speak English and so on, and they teased me, but that's the way it was. My mother became the housekeeper, and my father was the farmhand. Now, my father had graduated from the University of Leningrad with a degree in engineering, but yet this was his job of just you know, farm work, farm labor, and he was paid $30 a month, and he had to work until he paid back the farmer for his sponsorship that the farmer had to put out for us. We all had to go to college, and that was expected of us, in a sense. We had to make good grades, and we all became pretty successful in our careers. My brother, Matti, he became a teacher. He was an English teacher, in high school. And my brother Avo was born in the United States, and my sister Urve was born in the United States. Avo became a successful banker, and my sister Urve, she graduated from college in communications, but she had 5 children, so she became a stay-at-home mother to raise the children. And I became a teacher and a librarian, school librarian. Communication with our relatives back in Estonia was non-existent for a while. And then later on, a few years later, we were able to start communicating. I remember my father getting letters from his father and his brother, and sending pictures back and forth and so on. And of course, all the letters were scrutinized by the Russians. So whatever was, they were always opened, the letters were opened. And if you wanted to send packages over, you had to send it through the Russian Orthodox Church. So we would send clothes, we would send, you know, coffee, food, you know, and that kind of stuff, canned, something that would not perish, you know, not non-perishable type of things. But mostly clothes and bedding and so on like that. A lot of times the objects did not all get there. You know, whoever was, who was in charge of the packages to be the post office, I guess, whatever you would call it, they would help themselves. Every time we had a birthday celebration, we all sang Elagu, and we lifted our glasses of vodka to celebrate the occasion. Elagu, you know, we always say, you know, prosit, Elagu, and we would sing the song Da Elagu. Da Elagu, Da Elagu, and so on. It's not being an Estonian that is the really important thing that I try to instill in my children. It's just being a good human being. Be respectful, and especially be respectful of everyone, whatever their race, whatever their gender, whatever their you know, culture.